What is the story time? Let's go figure it out. Jenny's now finishing the rest. Let's finish the rest. The rest of 39. Hopefully, continue the rest of the book. The history of Sanku, or Three Kingdoms, shows the same agricultural structure and same thoughtful authorship as Shenhu. The story begins with three friends sworn eternal brotherhood in the Han Dynasty and ends at 97 years in the succeeding period of the Six Dynasties. It is a novel rewritten in its final form by a man named Lo Kan-chang, thought to be the pupil of Shen Kai-an and one perhaps and even shared with Shanai relating to a Shanghai copy. But this is Chinese bacon and Shakespeare connoisseur which has no end. Lu Kan-chang was born in the late Yuan dynasty and lived into the Ming. He wrote many dreams, but is more famous for the novels, of which Sanku is easily the best, and the version of this novel, now the most commonly used in China, is the one reversed in the time of King Eng, as seen by Mo Chen Kan, who received as well as critics criticized it in the book. He changed and added an alternate material, as for example, when he added the story of Sun Fu Wen, the wife of one of the chief characters. He altered even the style of Xu Hangchun has importance today as a novel of the people in the struggle for liberty. Sanku has importance because it gives in such detail the science and art of war as the Chinese governs it, so differently too from our own. The guerrillas, who are today China's most efficient fighting units against Japan, are peasants who know Sanku by heart, if not from their own writing, at least from hours spent in the idleness of winter days or long summer evenings when they sat listening to the storytelling described how the warriors of the three kingdoms fought their battles. It is these ancient tactics of war which the guerrillas trust today. What a warrior must be and how he must attack and retreated. He retreated when the enemy advances and how advances when the enemy retreats, and all his and this its sources in this novel so well known to every common man and boy of China. Hung Wu Main, or the Dream of the Reed Chamber, the latest and the most modern of these three greatest of Chinese novels, was written originally an autobiography novel by T.S. Eliot Ching, an official highly in favor during the Manchu Reign, indeed considered by the Manchus as one of themselves. There were then 8 military groups among the Manchus. The taste of Hesu Qing belonged to them all. He never finished his novel. The last 40 chapters were added by another man, probably named Tao. The thesis that the Taoist Hesu Qing was telling the story of his own life has been in modern times reported by Hugh Shi, in other times by Yan Mia. By this as it may, the original title of the book was Shehu Tu Chai, and it came out at Peking about 1765. In the Western era, in 5 or 6 incredible short times of China, it was famous. Everywhere. printing was still expensive when it appeared, and the book became known by the method that is called China. You lead me a book, and I lend you a book. The story is simple, it is a thing but complex in implication and character study, and in its portrayal of human emotions. It is almost a pathological study, the story of a great house, once wealthy and high, part of favor, so that indeed one of the members was an imperial concubine. But the great days are over when the books begin. The family is already declining, its wealth is being disputed, and the last and only son, Chai Po Yu, is being incorporated by the descendants influences within his own home, not through the fact that he was a youth of exploitative quality at birth, exploited by the something of a piece of jade found in his mouth. The preference begins. Heaven was once broken, and when it was mended a bit was left unused, and this became a famous Chai Po Yu. Thus does the interest of supernatural persist in the Chinese people. It persists even today as part of Chinese life. This never ceases, over other people, primarily because it's alternative problems of their own family system. The absolute power of women in the home, the two great of the maternity of the grandmother and the mother, and even the bondmaids, so often young and beautiful and fairly dependent, who became too frequently the playthings of the sons of the house and ruined them. They were ruined by them. Women resigned supreme in the Chinese house, and because they were morally confused in its morals, and often illiterate, they ruled to the hurt of all. They kept men and children, protected them from hardship and effort when they should not have been protected, such an one of Chai Pa-u, and we follow him to the tragic end in his Hung Lu Ming. I cannot tell you what lengths of allegory scholars went to explain away this novel when they found that again even the emperor was telling it, and its influences was so great everywhere among the people. Do not doubt that they are probably reading it themselves in secret. A great many popular jokes in China have to do with scholars reading novels privately, mostly pretending never to have heard of them. At any rate, scholars wrote histories to prove that Hung Lu Meng was not a novel, but particularly considering the decline of China under the foreign rule of the Manchus. The word read in the title significantly Manchu and Ning Tai-yu, a young girl who dies, although she was one destined to marry Po Yu, through China and Po Tai I see her successful rival who saves the jade in her place. Standing for the foreigner and forth the burning China submitted, they said falsely that this was far-fetched expression of what was written as a novel and stands as novel as a much powerful declination in the characteristics Chinese materialism and romance of a proud and powerful family of in decline, crowded with men and women of several generations, accustomed to living under one roof in China, stands alone, intimate expression of that life. And so surprising that these three novels I have merely done in Chinese sales do what you say novels average Chinese replies. Shi Yu San Ku Hung Liu Ming. Yet this is not to say they are not hundreds of other novels, for they are. I must mention Hesu Yu Chai, or Record of Travelers in the West, almost as popular as the three. One mentioned Feng Xing Chun, the story identified warrior, the author unknown, but said to be read in the time of Ming. I must mention Wu Ling Ma Xing, satire upon the evils of the Qixing dynasty, particularly of scholars full of double-edged through naturally technically rich with incident, pathetic, and humorous. The fun here is made of the scholars who can do nothing particular, who are lost in the world of useful and everyday things, who are so bound by the conversation that nothing original can come from them. The books too long had no central character. Each figure is linked to the next by a thread of innocent person and innocent passing on together until, as Liu mentioned, the famous modern Chinese writer has said, they are like scraps of brilliant silk and Satan sewed together. And there is Yi Shu Pei Yin, an old hermit talks in the sun, written by a famous man despondent in an official conscience shade of King Ying, and there are strangers of the books. For Ching He Ying, the fantasy of women whose ruler was an empress, whose scholars were all women, designed to show that the wisdom of women is equal to that of men. Although I must conflict that the book ends with a war between men and women, in which the men are triumphing and the empress is supplanted by the emperor. But I cannot mention all the small fraction of the hundreds of novels which delighted the common people of China. And if those people knew of what I was speaking to you today, they would, after I all say, tell the great three and let us stand or fall by Xu Hu and San Ku and Hung Liu Ming. And these three novels are the lives of these Chinese people who lead and have long led. Here are the songs that sing and the things in which they laugh and the things which they love to do. Until these novels they have put the generations of the paint and refresh that thing they return to these novels again and again and out them they have made new songs and plays and other novels. Some of them have come and been almost famous as the greatest originals. For example, Ching Ping Mi, classic romantic physical love taken from a single instant of Xu Hu Chun. But the important thing for me today is not the listing of novels, an aspect which I wish to stress that all is professional and needs so undeveloped of the imagination of great country people must never in its own time. All country called literature, the real name for story was myself sure denoting something slight in values and even a novel was own as taste hang pig hashu or longer something which was still slight useless now the people of China forget their own literature apart from three layers. And today this is what lives three part of what to come and all the formal literature which is called Art of Dead. The plots of these novels are often incomplete, the love interest is often brought to solution. Heroines are often not beautiful and heroes are not brave, nor the story always an end. Sometimes it merely stops in the way life does, middle of death it is not expected. In the tradition of the novel I have been born and read as a writer. Nation therefore has not been trained toward the beauty of letters, the grace of art. It is, I believe, a sound teaching, and I have set limiting for the novels of the West. For here is expensive attitude of Chinese novelists, perhaps results of the competent in which they were held by those who consider themselves the priests of art. I put it thus in my own words, for none of them has done so. The instinct which creates the art is not the name this which produces art. The creative sense in its final analyst and simplest terms, enormous visibility, super energy born spontaneously in an individual, it eternally great beyond all needs of his own living, and energy which is no single life can consume. This energy consumes itself then in creating more life in the form of music, painting, writing, or whatever is the most natural medium of expression, nor can the individual keep himself from the process, because only by its full function it is relieved the burden of this extra particular energy at one physical and mental, so that all the senses are more alert, more profound than the other demands, and all his brain more sensitive and quickened to that which his senses reveal to him. Such appearance naturally overflows into imagination. It is a process proceeding from within. It is the heightened activity of every cell of being, which sweeps not only himself but all human life brought him or in him in streams into the circle of its activity. From the product of activity, earth is deducted, but not only him. Process which creates constitutes the shapes of art. Definite art, therefore, is secondary and the primary process, and which one born is primary process of creation, contrasting us with the secondary process. Activity becomes meaningless, which begins to make shapes and styles, techniques, new schools, for he is like a ship stranded upon a reef whose propeller whirl, whirling as it will cannot drive the ship onward, not until the ship is in its element again and regain its course. And for the novelist, the only element is human life as he finds self or outside himself. There's so test of his work whether or not his energy producing more than the life or the creators alive. That is the only question, and who can tell him? But though, but those who live in human beings, the people, those people are not absorbed in what art is, how it is made, is not indeed absorbed in anything for lastly, however good it is. Now they are abide only in themselves and their own hungers and despairs and joys, and above all, perhaps in their own dreams. These are the ones who can really judge the work of the novelist, for the judge by that single test of reality, and stranded in the test of it's not to be made by the device of art, but the simple conversation of the reality of what they read to their own reality. I have been taught, therefore, that through the novelist that they see art as cool, perfect shapes, he may only admire them as admires marble. Statues standing out of in a quiet and remote gallery, for his place is not with them, that his place is in the streets. He is the happiest there. The street is noisy, and the men and women are not perfect in technical expression as the statues are. They are ugly, imperfect, and incomplete, even as human beings, and where they come from and where they cannot go be known. But they are people, and therefore family to be seen for to those who stand upon pedals of art. And like the Chinese novelists, I have been taught that I want to write for these people. If they are reading the magazines by the millions, then I want stories there rather than magazines. Read on the few. For stories belongs to the people. They are stronger judges of anyone else. Their sense are unspoiled and their immortality. No, a novelist must not think of the pure literature in his goal. He must not even know this field too well, because people who are material are not there. He is a storyteller in the village tent, and by his stories, his ethics, people into his tent, He needed not to raise his voice when the scholar passes, but he must beat all his drums when the band of poor pilgrims pass on the way up to the mountain to search of gods. To, to them he must cry, I too tell of gods, and to farmers he must talk of their land, and to old men he must speak peace, and old women must speak to children, to young men and women must speak to each other, must be satisfied, and the common people hear him clearly, at least so I have been taught in China. It is done. It is non-fiction, which is true. Fiction is true. Thank you.